Hello, and welcome to my presentation of contemporary business leadership. The agenda for this presentation will go through the introduction, business leader description, the individual who I interviewed, application of leadership theories, which leadership theory I thought she exemplified the most, greatest career achievements from the leader that I interviewed, handling a challenge, power base, and impact of behavior, as well as leadership style comparison to a past figure that I researched, as well as mission, vision, strategy, and entrepreneurial mindset. The last two that we'll focus on is the leader's lessons, what I learned from said interview, and critical reflection of the interview and the research process. The individual that I chose to interview was my past employer, Mindy Carrington. She is the executive director at Echo Hills Assisted Living and Memory Care Community. I picked Mindy to interview because I thought that she embodied what a true boss and leader shows. She shows empathy and she shows that she can be kind and understanding as well as, making sure that the facility is a well-oiled machine and everybody's doing the jobs that they need to do. Echo Hills is an assisted living and memory care community that is established to assist senior citizens and individuals that can no longer take care of themselves, whether it be feeding themselves, taking bathing themselves, or keeping their mind active, whether that's doing activities within the facility, doing such as book club and fitness to going outside of the community and doing outside activities. Mindy has at least 26 years of managerial experience, as well as being her own entrepreneur a while back. But in this current role, she has been in there for 3.5 years as executive director. Application of leadership theory. I believe Mindy is best described by the situational leadership philosophy. As Mindy mentioned in our discussion, this method this method helps her take a strong emphasis on modifying leadership techniques according to the demands of her team. And that in the particular circumstances. As a former employee of Mindy's, I can attest to the fact that she perfectly exemplifies situational leadership by granting autonomy, which creates an atmosphere where workers feel trusted and empowered, which can also help boost motivation and creativity in said workers. In order to guarantee that there are unambiguous expectations and chances for ongoing improvement, she would also constantly be establishing particular procedures and offering extra training. Effective situational leadership is characterized by this harmony between organized support and, as said before, autonomy. If I had to pick an additional trait or leadership theory that Mindy exemplifies, I would have to go with transformational leadership. This is when the leader inspires and promotes development and progress via objectives and training. In addition to improving performance, this strategy promotes a culture of ongoing development and progress. Greatest career achievement of Mindy. When interviewing Mindy, I asked her, what her greatest achievement has been in her current role as an executive director of the assisted living and memory care community. She told me that reaching a record census within 8 months of opening the community was one of her greatest achievements. By using strong network marketing and working closely with the department leaders, she was able to grow the community and the resident census. All departments were involved in this achievement. Nursing was the lead department because as the residents were moving in, the nursing team needed to assess and take care of their needs. With their teamwork, Without their teamwork, the residents wouldn't have been able to succeed in their new environment. The impact was in helping seniors in the next phase of their lives. Following management concepts and tactics contributed to this successful organizational outcome and increased stakeholder satisfaction was effective network marketing, excuse me. Reaching prospective residents and their families by utilizing intensive marketing initiatives, a marketing team was able to swiftly draw in new residents by establishing solid networks and connections within the neighborhood. Another Another was collaborative leadership. Closely collaborating with department heads to guarantee that all facts of the community were on the same page and pursuing the same objectives. Every department was active in making a contribution to the community's prosperity thanks to the cooperative approach. Third, departmental coordination, making certain that departments were properly coordinated, especially nursing, in evaluating and caring for the new residents. The nursing staff played a critical role. The people would not have been able to succeed in their new surroundings without their commitment and teamwork. Fourth, paying attention to residents' requirements. To guarantee the residents' smooth transition into the community, they give their requirements top priority. They give their requirements top priority. The community was able to establish a friendly and encouraging atmosphere for the new residents um, by emphasizing individualized care and support. The last is the last complete team involvement, involving every department in the community develops in de the community's development and population growth. Everyone was committed to the community's success and collaborated to accomplish their objectives thanks to this inclusive approach. These tactics significantly improved the well-being and contentment of seniors as they transitioned into their next stage of lives. In addition to helping population reach record census numbers in addition to helping population reach record census numbers in just 8 months. Handling a challenge. The ethical challenge that Mindy faced was keeping healthcare staff in the COVID pandemic. Pretty much being able to keep staff on the records or just keeping people employed while the COVID pandemic was going on. Echo Hills only opened up 3.5 years ago, so around mid 2020 to early 2021 is when they established, which was the peak of the COVID pandemic. It was hard to keep staff at a decent wage because agency companies were offering more money than a brick and mortar could contend with. Many employees left to go work at said agencies and found the grass wasn't greener just because just a different shade of green. Mindy was then faced with hiring at a pay rate that Echo's budget could not maintain. She ended up going against ownership's guidelines to keep staff and bring in more staff as the census increased. Mindy and her team had to revamp the hiring budget in order to compete with the industry and agencies who were paying well above the industry average. She ended up having to have a meeting with the ownership and explain the situation and why she went above the budget to hire. They were able to compromise and keep the staff that they had and set a new minimum pay rate by moving funds from one department to another. This remark is more appropriate for a leadership position. The acts show problem-solving skills, strategic thinking, and readiness to question the status quo for the benefits of the company and its employees. Mindy demonstrated vision, empathy, and the capacity to spur change and creativity del by devi divine by defying ownership guidelines, network reworking the hiring budget, and making concessions to establish a new pay rate. These are essential characteristics of successful leadership. It does, however, also entail certain managerial facets, like ownership negotiation and budget management. Overall, though, the focus on resolving an ethical dilemma and giving staff retention a priority shows excellent leadership. The res- Mindy met a challenge by exhibiting a number of servant leadership traits. Mindy showed empathy, commitment to growth, stewardship, helping create a community, and helping create a community. All things considered, Mindy skillfully used servant leadership traits to tackle a major ethical dilemma, emphasizing, like I just said, empathy, development, persuasion, stewardship, and community building to produce a favorable result. Power bases and impact of behavior. To address and overcome the challenge, Mindy mostly used referent power and expert authority. Expert power or authority. The leader's profound knowledge of the health showed with Mindy's profound knowledge of the healthcare sector, especially the staffing issue during the epidemic, demonstrate Mindy's profound knowledge of the healthcare sector, especially the staffing issue during the COVID pandemic, demonstrates this perfectly. Specific knowledge and skill is demonstrated by the ability to handle the challenges of hiring, budgeting, and negotiating with ownership. Mindy used her experience to make well-informed judgments that struck a balance between organizational limitations and employee requirements. How she exemplified referent power. The team's dedication is demonstrated by Mindy's readiness to defy ownership's rule in order to hire and retain employees. Employees' respect and trust were probably increased by this one, honestly, which strengthens the leader's power based on their correction or connection and the trust they have developed. Mindy improved their Mindy improved her relationship and credibility with the team by standing up for the employees and looking for ways to guarantee fair pay. With this use of these power bases, the Mindy was able to resolve the moral dilemma in a way that preserved operational stability while guaranteeing employee retention and satisfaction. Their deft use of referent and expert authority emphasizes how crucial knowledge and interpersonal influences are to an effective leader. The situation was improved by Mindy's deployment of referent and expert authority. It describes how she how her actions, which were founded on their strong connections and specific knowledge, assisted in resolving the staffing issue during the COVID epidemic. Employees and the company benefited from Mindy's initiatives, which guaranteed adequate staffing levels, increased team morale, and fostered trust. The Mindy's power bases and her influence on the situation are directly consistent with the explanation. All right, moving on to leader comparison. I did a part one and a part two for this. So the individual that I chose to compare to Mindy, now thinking about it, probably isn't the greatest, but it just goes to show the two different types of leadership and how each of them can still get the job done. For my leadership comparison, I chose ex-Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Margaret Thatcher. One of the most significant British leaders of the 20th century was Margaret Thatcher. Popularly referred to as the Iron Lady, she had a strong, lasting effect on British politics as the country's first female prime minister. Thatcher's leadership style was defined by her strong-willed nature and under an unyielding determination. She was well known for her strong opposition on socialism, dedication to free market economics, and conservative beliefs. Thatcher's leadership style sprang from her conviction that people should oversee their own lives and that the government shouldn't handle all issues. Now, I know that I just explained how Mindy was had shown empathy and trust and resilience. Now, I get that Margaret and Mindy's leadership styles may be off, one another, but they did what they did. Mindy does what she has to do for her living community, and Margaret had to do what she had to do to make sure that her country was prosperous and running well. Thatcher's approach to economic policy was one of her leadership's defining characteristics. She thought that more prosperity would result from free markets and that the government should have less role in the economy, as I said earlier. Thatcher's economic policies consequently included deregulating the financial system, privatizing state-owned businesses, and weakening trade unions. Significant economic growth, massive unemployment, and social inequality were the outcome of these measures. So, yes, I probably should have chosen someone else to compare her to compare Mindy to. But I think that both of them show a strong leadership identity, as well as both being female. In part two, I go on to explain how what I just explained, how both of their tactics are a little different from one another. Margaret being authoritarian and Mindy being more of a leadership style that is, high, it encourages people and, wanting the best quality of care and life for these seniors as they enter their new stage of life. I have notes that explain the differences between the two. Aligning with and accomplishing the organizational mission, vision, and strategy requires an entrepreneurial attitude. Here's how. First step, mission alignment. An entrepreneurial attitude can promote excellence in service delivery by emphasizing innovation and proactive problem solving. For example, the goal of delivering leadership, bravery, and quality in senior care is directly supported by consistently coming up with innovative ways to surpass residents' expectations. Vision. The organization's vision outlines its future goals. By their very nature, entrepreneurs are visionaries who are always scanning the future for chances for expansion. This proactive strategy guarantees that the company not only responds to, but also foresees developments, opening the door for reaching its ambitious objectives as well. Strategic execution. The specific actions required to fill the purpose and realize the vision are part of the strategy. Flexibility and adaptability are fostered by an entrepreneurial mindset as well, which enables the company to innovate and respond to market shifts and change course as needed. Even if external circumstances change, this way of thinking guarantees that the tactics will continue to be applicable and successful. An organization may remain dynamic, inventive, and responsive. Qual An organization may remain dynamic, inventive, and responsive, which are qualities essential to a long-term success in accomplishing its mission, vision, and strategic goals by cultivating an entrepreneurial attitude. Leadership lessons. Within this slide, I will present three traits that I believe will show exhibit which will exhibit great leadership traits. To demonstrate good leadership traits, you should use empathy, vision, and adaptability. Empathy is the trust and loyalty, our trust and loyalty fostered by leaders who truly understand and take into account the feelings and viewpoints of their team. Empathy enables leaders to establish a personal connection with their team members, fostering an atmosphere where workers are treated with respect and feel appreciated. Next is vision. Inspiration and guidance come from having a compelling, distinct vision, strong visionary and distinct vision. Strong visionary leaders inspire their team to strive for a common objective, creating a feeling of purpose and increasing engagement. Adaptability. Overcoming obstacles and grasping opportunities require the capacity to adjust to shifting conditions and change course when required. Flexible and receptive leaders are better able to guide their team through change and uncertainty. As things to demonstrate as a good leader, there are things to avoid to be a good leader. First, micromanagement. Team members become frustrated and disengaged when leaders micromanage. And I can say that from experience. Any manager that I had that micromanaged me, I did not perform well, which can inhibit creativity and innovation, which absolutely happened to myself. Giving workers the freedom to make their own judgments and having faith in them to complete their task promotes accountability and ownership, which Mindy absolutely helped. It helped me see, it helped me feel like, you know, I wasn't doing stuff wrong on a daily basis. Favoritism. Exhibiting favoritism can result in animosity and a poisonous workplace. This did not happen with Mindy, but through the 16 years that I've been working, I have definitely stumbled across several managers that unfortunately exhibit favoritism. And as an employee, I can safely say that it is a poisonous environment to be around. And if you're not one of their favorites, then your life is pretty much miserable. Establishing a culture e- of equity and respect requires leaders to treat each team member. It requires leaders to treat each member with equ equitably and to reward contribution on the basis of merit. Indecision. A lack of decisiveness can impede advancement and cause confusion. To keep them motivated and on track, leaders must promote choices and give clear instructions. While avoiding micromanagement, bias, and indecision, leaders may foster a productive and positive work atmosphere that propels achievements by exhibiting empathy, vision, and adaptability. So here's the part where I reflect on the interview. Like I said, I chose Mindy. I chose to interview Mindy Carrington because like I said, in my 16 years on the workforce, she stands out as one of the best bosses I've ever had, hands down. Her leadership style, characterized by empathy and understanding, truly eases the challenges of our work. Of when I worked at Echo Hills, I no longer work there, but when I was working there, that's those are the two characteristics that I absolutely believe Mindy exemplifies. However, despite her compassionate approach, she also maintains high standards and expects tasks to be completed correctly the first time. The interview was excellent because of the clarity and the depth of the first questions. Even if no follow-ups, which I had no follow-up questions to utilize with her because every question that she answered was precise and very informative. The answers were thorough and perceptive, like I just said, skillfully showcasing Mindy's knowledge and experiences. The interview remained interesting and educational because of the careful planning and attention to important details that I took in the interview process. It was immensely illuminating being able to interview Mindy and to learn more about her leadership approach. Along with strong standards and demands, I've learned how effective empathy and understanding can be in the workplace. Mindy creates a friendly and productive environment with her well-rounded approach. I always thought that work had to be work, and everybody was just, if you didn't do your job right, you were, you know, chastised, or or if if I had to ask a question, I felt like I was, belittled for having to ask that question. When I worked with Mindy, that was not the case. She took the time to explain, the situation, what she wanted from me, and how to go about it. One difficulty I had was making sure the questions were both thorough and targeted to get the most perceptive answers. I understand the questions were given to us to ask the interviewee, but I felt like I had to do something just to get the most perspective from the answer. Now, I was able to overcome this by carefully crafting each inquiry and being prepared to go deeper if necessary. But as I said before, I did not have to go in deeper into the question or ask any sort of follow-up questions because with Mindy's 26 years of managerial experience, she was able to give me a clear-cut, precise answer. I also took careful notes and cross-referenced it with accepted leadership principles allowed for the research approach to be thorough enough to fully represent her leadership, so show her leadership styles, to show her leadership styles. All in all, this experience has helped me better grasp how to lead and how crucial it is to combine empathy and excellent organizing abilities. I want to thank you, Professor Bush, for taking your time to listen to my interview or to listen to my PowerPoint on my interview with my past employer, who I think exemplifies what it means to be a great leader. I want to thank you for your time and have a great rest of your day.